And we begin with a major development in the push and pull over the 10 Commandments in Texas classrooms.
A federal appeals court heard arguments today over the controversial law that requires public schools to display posters of the 10 Commandments in the classroom. All 17 judges on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals heard the case, combined with a similar one out of Louisiana.
KVUE's Daniel Perot followed the hearing for us today. And Daniel, based on the judges' questions, can we glean anything about how they might rule?
We don't know exactly how the court will rule just yet, but the way the 17 judges ask questions offers us some insight into how they are thinking. They did ask tough questions at both sides, but they did appear to be a little bit more skeptical of the arguments the plaintiffs made in this case. The question here is, if requiring public schools to display the 10 Commandments violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment that prohibits governments from endorsing or promoting a particular religion. Last year, a 3-judge panel from this same court ruled that Louisiana's law was not constitutional, calling it a clear violation of the separation of church and state. But that ruling was later vacated. Today, judges asked lawyers for Texas whether the law pressures students into adopting religious principles that might differ from their own. Texas's Solicitor General said it's not coercion because students can just ignore the posters.
This is a display of the 10 Commandments in public schools. This is not instruction on the 10 Commandments. The teachers are not required to answer questions about the 10 Commandments. Teachers are not required to answer theological questions of students. They simply have to be on the wall in the classroom.
A lot of today's questioning centered on a 1980 U.S. Supreme Court decision which said public school displays of the 10 Commandments were not constitutional. Much of that ruling was based on what's known as the Lemon Test. That was the standard that courts used to determine if government unconstitutionally endorsed or established a religion. But in a different 2022 ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court got rid of it. We just heard from some of the plaintiffs in this case who say since children are legally required to attend school, they have no way to avoid the posters.
I believe that Texas SB 10 undermines this educational mission and instead conveys to students that good character and kind-heartedness can only be achieved if you adhere to a Christian rendering of the 10 Commandments. No one faith, no one culture, no one perspective should be canonized as more holy than others.
With all active judges on the Fifth Circuit hearing the case, attorneys for Texas and Louisiana hope they will get a more favorable ruling. This is considered to be one of the most conservative courts in the nation. 12 of the 17 active judges were appointed by Republican presidents. It could take months for the appeals court to rule on the constitutionality of the Texas and Louisiana laws. Whatever decision they make could be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. In the studio, Daniel Perot, KVUE News.